Welcome to Full Court Press. This is where we ask the pressing questions going around the NBA, and I'm joined by Charlie and Fadmir, and today we're talking about the NBA Finals, baby. Just a few days away, Mavs, Celtics. We're going to break down the keys to each team's success in winning the NBA championship, and then we're going to end it off with some predictions on who we think is winning it. All right, boys. Mavs, Celtics, we finally made it to the NBA Finals. It is the end of the NBA season. It's been a great year. And let's get right into it. Who do you guys want to start with, the Mavs or the Celtics? Keys to victory in this series.
First, Dallas in 6.
Okay, we're going to predictions.
That's the key to victory.
That is the key to
That
victory.
is the key to victory.
Anyways, I think the biggest key to victory for Dallas is abusing the pick and roll. Boston has, I believe, it was either the worst or the second worst pick and roll defense in the playoffs throughout the entire playoffs. I remember seeing during their series with Indiana, those two had the bottom 2 pick and roll defense in the out of all the teams in the entire playoffs, and they were just going at it against each other. So if Dallas is able to abuse it with Lively, Gafford, or whoever, it'll look good for them. That's my opinion. How their offense should be looking is pick and roll. Another thing, in terms of their offense, I think they have to attack the fuck out of Al Horford. He is old. He can't move. Luka and Kyrie can have their way with him very easily. They have their way with him. Help comes over. Wide open guy in the corner. Mavs basketball. Kind of simple. As for defense, is Kristaps coming back?
I think he
I think
should
he
be
will
back
be,
for game one
yeah,
because he was going to
that.
come back the next game of last series, I thought.
Okay, so if Kristaps is back, Lively or Gafford on him. On Drew, I would put Kyrie. Either Kyrie or Luka. And then Kyrie or Luka on Derek White. PJ Washington on Tatum. Actually, no. PJ Washington on Jalen. Actually, it really doesn't matter. PJ Washington on Brown or Tatum. And then Derek Jones Jr. on Brown or Tatum. That should be, in my opinion, their ideal matchup. Even then, they can switch almost anything except for really with Kyrie if on like Tatum or switching on to Kristaps. But for the most part, they should be able to switch a lot of things. So those, in my opinion, are the keys for Dallas.
Charlie, would you like to add anything for Dallas?
I mean, he really hit those, and those are some good keys. It's definitely going to come down to like effectiveness of role players, everybody off of Luka. We saw Gafford and Lively do a very good job at kind of eliminating Towns and Gobert. They kind of almost canceled them out pretty much because that should have been a pretty big favor in Minnesota's side. And obviously, Kristaps coming off injury, you could argue maybe he's got the same kind of offensive bag as Towns, but I think he's going to be able, if they play like they did last series, he's probably going to be pretty much irrelevant. Horford's obviously worse than all of everybody Minnesota had. So it comes down to like PJ Washington, he continues to hit shots. Jones Jr. continues to hit shots. It's just role players got to really play their role.
Yeah, I'd agree with that. The biggest thing for me for the Mavs offensively is 1, your role players hitting threes, and 2, the lobs. The Mavs are leading the playoffs in lobs by a large margin. Literally, no one else is close. And the fact that the Celtics don't really have any rim protectors, Porzingis can block a shot here and there, but I don't see him blocking lobs or breaking up lobs for the most part. You have to abuse that. Use him in the pick and roll with whoever's there. Toss the lob when he helps. Luka's going to be great at putting people in jail. It's going to be tough for him, though. You got Drew Holiday, Derek White, great defenders all around on the Celtics. The toughest thing for the Mavs defensively is going to be when Gafford or Lively is brought out to the three-point line and they can't really defend the paint. So they're really going to be relying on a lot of help defense or just one-on-one defense overall. The Celtics are going to shoot a lot of threes, so you're going to have to just try to contest. And matchup-wise, I would have Kyrie on Derek White just because he's probably going to be running around more and Luka's not going to want to chase him around. I'd probably put Luka on either Brown or Holiday. Probably Holiday, though. I feel like Holiday, outside of just pick and rolls, he doesn't really move around much on the offense. He kind of just sometimes would sit in a corner if he's not the one bringing the ball up. And then, PJ Washington he can guard anyone on the team, really. Even Porzingis, I mean, he guarded Cat for most of the series. So you could put him on anyone. And same thing with Derek Jones Jr. Maybe not on Porzingis, but 1 through 4 would be perfect. But yeah, it's going to be tough. It's going to be a tough series. Moving on to the Celtics, their keys to victory. I think that their key to victory, of course, is going to be knocking down threes. That's the most efficient offense this season, I believe. They do shoot a lot of threes. I think the biggest thing will just be them getting away from ISO ball more than anything, because the Mavs do have some solid defenders, and unless you're just on fire, they're going to make you pay when you miss, because you got Luka and Kyrie coming down the other way, and they're not going to make too many mistakes. And outside of that, they're going to definitely use the three, bring the guys out of the paint. Rebounding is going to be huge. I should have brought that up earlier. If they can dominate the offensive glass, or even just limit the Celtics' second chance opportunities, that'd be big for the Mavs. But for the Celtics, honestly, it's just execution and then playing well on defense.
To start, I think one of the biggest keys for Boston is switch everything. Their entire team, even Kristaps, could probably hold his own for the most part on the perimeter, especially because if Luka and Kyrie do hunt them in the pick and roll, they can literally just switch everything. Derek White, Drew Holiday, Brown, Tatum, and just go on whoever on defense. They're all great, or good to great defenders, to the point where like they could switch anything and still be comfortable with what they have. Another one is, I know the Celtics love to play drop coverage, especially on the pick and roll, and that's probably why they're so bad at defending it. They got to stop that, especially if it's Luka or Kyrie in the pick and roll, because if you drop on one of them, they're just going to pull it. They're going to hit it. Like we've seen Luka, especially Kyrie. We've seen Kyrie hit some crazy threes in the past few rounds. Luka's been hitting some crazy threes with a switch. So as long as they don't play drop, and they actually, like, they have the personnel with Drew and Derek White to actually go over screens and fight through it. So don't play drop, and it'll be a lot easier to defend, in my opinion. In terms of offense, it is going to be just, it's not really like something you can force to happen, but hitting your threes is going to be big for them, because I believe they have one of the highest win percentages when they hit like a certain amount of threes in a game. I think it's like, I don't know what the number is, like 15 or 20 threes as a team. They have like an insane win percentage, or it's when they hit more threes than their opponents. But if they can just knock down their shots, they'll be good. Tatum, please stop settling. If you want to win, stop playing like a bitch. Simple as that. You're not Kobe Bryant.
Going right
Take your ass to the paint and drive and finish. You're big-bodied for a reason. You are 6'10", who knows how much. You are built like an athlete. Play like one. Don't play like you're flashy. Stick to what you're good at. This is why you're overrated. Please play to your strengths.
All right.
Wow.
It's hard to follow that up.
No, I mean, yeah, there's not really much else for me to say. I don't think offense is going to be a problem for the Celtics, so I'm not even going to make that a key point. That's just defense. If they could nobody's found a way to slow down Luka so far. They got two guys who are decent for it, but I mean, you could put Kawhi on Luka. At this point, it's really not going to matter. It's just going to come down to defense. You can force guys like PJ Washington and Jones Jr. to take the shots instead of Luka and Kyrie, and you're going to have to live with the result pretty much. It's other teams, maybe that was their game plan too, and they're living with the fact that they were hitting their shots the other series. But the lights get a lot brighter on this stage. But Kyrie's the only one who's played in the finals for them. Yeah, things might get a little the brights might be too light. It might shine brighter than expected, dude. I don't know. We'll see. So yeah, defense for the Celtics, that is their biggest key right there.
I think the biggest thing about this whole series is the storylines that are intertwined between these players and teams. Obviously, Kyrie and Boston, the hatred between those two, even though it was honestly the most quiet breakup. Kyrie just left in free agency. I think the biggest part was the fact that he said he would stay, but then he didn't, and then he also stomped on Lucky when they played each other when he was on the Nets. And honestly, I hope Kyrie gets his get back. The Celtics have one of the worst fan bases in life, and those fans didn't deserve him. And they always show their true colors whenever a player leaves their team. They don't really care for the person. And on the flip side, you got Porzingis, who used to play in Dallas, and I think it was on JJ Redick's podcast or someone's podcast. He said he didn't really buy into the Mavericks. He didn't really put forth his best effort, didn't try his hardest when he was with Dallas. And that could be a shot at Luka, because during that time, Porzingis was just coming off of, he was still with the Knicks, I believe, and he was kind of like the guy in New York, and then you're coming to a team with a young star, and you're no longer that guy, you're just relegated to the three-point line. And it's kind of funny because now he's doing the same thing in Boston, but he didn't care to do it in Dallas, so it's kind of like a little rivalry there. Who's going to get the better of the former team that they're on? I think the Mavs have more of an edge when it comes to this, just because Luka's probably going to try to prove a point to Porzingis, like, hey, you should have stayed here. We could have done something if you actually tried. And then Kyrie, of course, is like, these fans hate me for being me. So it's a very interesting storyline going on between the two, and whoever wins at the end of the day, they're going to be able to talk their shit afterwards, and I absolutely love it.
I want to see Kyrie with the Larry O'Brien in hand stomping on the Celtics logo again.
That would be cinema.
What is it? Two things. I might have forgot the second one, but the first one is what Kyrie's 0-10 against the Celtics since he stomped on Lucky, right?
Might be 0-14.
0-14.
One of those two.
It's a pretty nasty number.
It is a nasty number.
What other thing I was gonna say is we were talking about Porzingis like being relegated to the same role he was at in Dallas now with the Celtics, and I've seen a lot of it on Twitter that people are saying like Kyrie got out of Cleveland because he didn't want to be second fiddle to LeBron, and now he had that problem, and now he's like settled in with Luka. But yeah, I wouldn't say, like, from what I've heard, mostly like Kyrie knew LeBron was trying to trade him, so he just took matters into his own hands and got out of there. But either way, they both seem to be wanting to be the guy on the team. Now they've both settled to be a piece of a much bigger team, which is what you have to do to win a championship.
Right.
If you can realize that as a player, you already are like halfway there. So, but I think that's interesting. I think it'll be a pretty heated matchup, but yeah, I don't know. Just wanted to throw that out there.
Yeah, and something I did forget to bring up, this will probably settle a debate that probably shouldn't be a debate in terms of who's the better player, Luka and Tatum. Those two are brought up a lot in talks on who's better, and it goes back and forth, but honestly, it shouldn't be a conversation that Luka is better, but definitely whoever wins this ring, it's going to sway things in their favor heavily.
I hope Boston doesn't win just because the media is going to push Tatum way too much.
Yeah, and the media already hates Luka for the most part up until this run.
Oh, Tatum, you have no excuses this year. Boston, you have no excuses this year. Conversations will be had if you lose.
What's crazy is Celtics fans are trying to portray themselves as the underdog.
Oh my God.
It's the worst thing I've ever seen in my life.
All everyone wants Dallas to win. Yeah, because we don't like you guys. Like
60-win super team trying to be an underdog is insane.
Serious. Be so serious.
6 former All-Stars on your team that can start at any given day.
Ken Elhorn. 6?
Yeah.
Who's the 6th?
Oh, my fault. Derek White wasn't an All-Star. 5.
Thank God. Oh my God.
Derek White was. You pushed for Derek White Finals MVP.
I'm pushing for that because it'd be hilarious. If they win, Derek White Finals MVP because Tatum doesn't deserve it.
What if Jaylen Brown steals it from him? That'll be internal debates.
That'll be worse because then I have to see, Jaylen Brown might be better than Jason Tatum. Like, I don't want that either. I'd just rather have Derek White because it'd be hilarious.
Anyways, the individual player matchups in this series, the most important one, in my opinion, is probably going to be Kyrie and Derek White. Just because I feel like, well, Kyrie, he's a secondary option. Everyone knows what Luka's going to do. Everyone knows what Tatum and Brown are going to do. Mm-hmm. I think it's going to come down to Derek White and Kyrie making big plays like they usually do. And they're what helps these teams win games. If Kyrie can get it going, for the most part, you know that the Mavs probably have a great shot at winning a game. if Derek White is making the big plays, big stops, gets blocks, knocks down threes, probably at a higher clip than the rest of the team in terms of the starters, you know that the Celtics have a good shot of winning those games. So I feel like that's the key matchup is going to be Kyrie versus Derek White, as crazy as that may sound.
See, at first I thought you meant like Kyrie or like Derek White guarding Kyrie, but because I was gonna say I feel like they're gonna put Derek White on Luka just because Derek White is like bigger bodied in a way
Then
for
Drew
a
Holiday.
guard. Yeah, I feel like they're gonna have Drew on Kyrie, especially because Kyrie's gonna move a lot more and Drew doesn't shoot as much on offense, at least on this team. So yeah, I think regardless of whoever's on Luka, they're gonna get cooked. Simple as that. I think whoever Drew is guarding, I have a feeling is gonna make Drew look like a way worse defender than he actually is, kind of like what Jimmy did last year. I think I do agree how Kyrie plays is gonna be like one of the biggest matchups, but I think it's gonna come down to the bigs. Derek Lively and Kristaps, because if Kristaps is not in a rhythm because of his injury, it's gonna hurt them because Tatum and Brown, I'm sure they'll have some games where they struggle, especially with who's gonna be on them. It's probably the Mavericks' like best defenders, so Kristaps is definitely gonna be looked to as like one of their better options, especially because it's gonna bring out Lively and Gafford on the perimeter. So if he's hitting, I'd be worried if I'm Dallas. If they can somehow manage to contain him, especially since he's probably one of their more effective paint options, it's gonna look good. And Lively, if Porzingis can't contain Lively's effectiveness rebounding the ball, especially like Lively was getting an insane amount of offensive boards when he was playing all playoff run so far. If they can manage to contain that and make sure like Lively doesn't shoot perfect like he did last round, it's going to be a big blow to the Mavericks because Lively has been playing like he's a 10-year veteran with 3 rings already under his belt.
Which is insane for a 20-year-old rookie. And I would like to agree, but you can go ahead if you had something to say.
I definitely think Kristaps will be the key player. Dallas, Lively is definitely him playing well. I'm gonna go with my key players, Porzingis in Washington. PJ is obviously gonna have his hands full guarding Tatum or Brown. For him to be able to guard them effectively and still be able to do his part on offense is gonna be the big thing for him because you're gonna get 30 plus out of Luka, probably 25 plus out of Kyrie. But still, at the end of the day, it's probably not going to be enough against a super team. So you're going to need probably at least 15 out of PJ every win. So if he shows up on defense, great, but he's got to show up on both ends of the floor. And if Kristaps is effective, I think it's going to be very hard for Dallas to win. Like I said, I don't think Kristaps is necessarily better or has a better bag or anything at offense than like Karl-Anthony Towns, and they did a good job against him. But I would say Kristaps might be more of like a get hot fast kind of player. Like he could really put a lot of points on you really fast if he gets into his rhythm. So if he's like that, it's going to be really hard for Dallas to compete just because, like, obviously I think they're both, Gafford and Lively are both really good, but then you're going to have to start stretching them out. Your paint's going to become weaker, and Brown and Tatum, if they actually do drive, Tatum's good at driving, Brown's athletic as hell, he can finish, so it'll be interesting to see, but I think Kristaps and Washington will be the key players.
I like that a lot. PJ, he's got the whole pose, mean mugging. He's one of the Mavs' favorites currently. I would agree. Yeah, he's got to hit his threes we talked about in our keys of for each team to win. You need your role players to hit threes. PJ is one of those guys.
He has been struggling last series against the Timberwolves.
Yeah, he was a little bit. He hit big threes when you needed him
He
to.
hit clutch ones,
I
but
believe he shot under 30% from 3 that series.
He shot like 60% against the Thunder, so it balanced
you
out.
gotta give or take.
the lights are good.
They are getting brighter.
They are.
But yeah, I also agree with Porzingis.
I think he's the difference maker.
The unicorn. The unicorn. It's tough to guard a 7'3" shooter. I mean, yes, they did a great job on Cat, but that's also because they had a Rudy Gobert who was a non-factor on offense for the most part. So it'll be tough to have a stretch 5, and then you can't just sit in the paint. You have to actually like play on the perimeter. Help defense is going to be huge. It's going to be a battle, that's for sure. And this will lead up to our predictions. All right, guys, the NBA Finals are here. This is our last prediction for the year. Let's make it count. Mavericks, Celtics, who y'all got in how many games?
I already told you, Dallas in 6.
Charlie?
Realistically, what I'm gonna go with is Celtics. I'll go Celtics in 6. That's my what's realistically I could see happening. I would be happy if the Mavs won. I'm not really picking a side. I don't have either of these teams here. I like people on both sides. I probably like Luka the best, but the Celtics, on paper, statistically, all things considered, should win this series. So I'll say Celtics in 6 games.
As the Mavs have gone further into the playoffs, my heart has grown stronger. Because I said it before the playoffs even started when I put the Celtics winning it all against the Nuggets. They're like, oh, you just want to be different. I was like, if I really want to be different, I would have my favorite team in the playoffs, the Mavs, win it all because of Luka and Kyrie. And my heart's telling me that the Mavs are going to win it in 7. Kyrie's going to stomp on Lucky afterwards. If I were to really have it my own way, it would be just like that in Game 7. My brain is telling me that the Celtics will probably win this in 7. Both teams play great on the road and seem to kind of struggle a little bit at home. I feel like the Mavs are better at home than the Celtics. So it's a toss-up. Brain's telling me Celtics in 7. Heart's telling me Mavs got this one. It's going to be one of the most legendary playoff runs since Dirk. And it's only fitting that the Mavs do it again with another European superstar.
Speaking of Dirk, Dirk beat a super team in his finals in his only ring. He beat the super team Miami Heat, Dwayne Wade, Chris Bosh, LeBron James. Luka's about to do the same thing, beat a super team as a dark horse team candidate to win the whole thing. Just like Dirk, he's going to be a super team. Jason Tatum, Kristaps, Drew Holiday, Jaylen Brown, Derek White. Book it.
The only difference is they've already been to the finals and lost. The Heat lost their first one and won their next one. I don't know.
Yeah, Jason Tatum's not LeBron James.
He's not.
He's not LeBron James, that's
Jason
for
Tatum
sure.
might not even be Dwayne Wade. Jason Tatum might be Chris Bosh.
Wow. All right.
Joel Anthony.
Joel Anthony.
That's a crazy pull.
Wow.
That's a legendary pull.
It is a legendary pull.
Yes,
Derrick
it
Rose
is.
dunked on his dumbass.
You sure did, dude.
And speaking of dunking, make sure to dunk on that like button. And make sure to subscribe because I know you want to be a part of the Full Court Press family, baby. Till next time. Peace.